In today's episode, we chat about African scammers, slugs in your pints, and holidays. Welcome back to a new episode of the No Rep Podcast, episode number 46. I'm with the usual Dobbers, Evan.
I feel like we've done this before.
And Nathaniel Bedingfield.
What's happening?
We'll get into why we're laughing a little bit later in the show. But Evan, how was your holiday?
My holiday was fantastic.
Where did you go?
I went to there. Do you know, actually, like the holiday was incredible. It was really fantastic. We went to Naples. We done a wee bit of the Amalfi Coast. Would you like to ask me what I thought about Naples?
A bit of context, because I'm going to struggle to try and keep my shit together.
I'm ready my seat here.
Right. So we were recording maybe about a couple of minutes of the podcast until we realised that there was no audio. So we're now going to try and rehash the last 5 minutes again.
Make it seem as authentic as possible.
So if we start laughing, or if the conversation seems a bit dry, that's why. But there's some good bits in there. So my question was, what was your honest thoughts on Naples?
My honest thoughts on Naples, I loved it. Right, Amanda, my missus, wasn't mega keen on it. Right, but to be quite honest, it is probably a place. Like, we went for 4 days. You could do it in 2, and then that would probably, because it's intense. Mm-hmm. I think Italy as a country can be, just the way the Italians are and stuff, like, can be quite.
You say intense, like.
Oh, it's busy.
Is it?
It's busy, and like all you hear is toot toot, and then there's a Vespa cutting in, like, or a wee motorbike, down pedestrian streets and stuff. We were staying in the Spanish quarter. Quartiere Spagnoli.
Didn't even know there was a Spanish quarter. There you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Is it the Spanish Steps are unknown, innit?
Huh?
Spanish Steps are unknown.
Is it city vibes, or is it like
Naples was city vibes, like very very kind of built up and stuff, but like noticeable poverty.
Yeah,
like in a lot of places. Don't get me wrong, there's obviously rich and affluent parts of that, and like there's a north-south divide in Italy. Like the north's really, really affluent, the south is more working class. It's probably maybe not poverty, maybe a bit of poverty and stuff, but it's apparent throughout the city, and it's just a bit gritty. That's
probably the best word to describe it.
Is a good way to put it. Like it's like there's no rules. People are just like you would go out your kind of the hotel we stayed in, like in the Spanish quarter, so it's almost like the Italian equivalent of tenements, right? But they've got this big massive door, right? A huge, like, I don't know, 20-foot door, maybe higher, with a wee tiny door cut out in the middle, and you go through the wee tiny door, and I couldn't fit through it and whatever. But anyway, you'd cut.
I'm sure,
because I'm massive, right? No, but I couldn't. I'd get my shoulders stuck, but it's unreasonably small. But you'd get out of that, you'd look left, and there'd be somebody like cut up a fish head, like random, and then the next place down, they'd be selling pasta, and then there'd be like a shop that has like 40 multi-packs of toilet rolls outside. It's just mad.
Yeah,
it's like you're taking random bits from different parts of the world and just chucking it together, and that's kind of Naples.
And this was the pizza as good as Napoleon style pizza?
It was.
Like, was it
unbelievable?
I'd say the food's probably the best bit about it.
It was absolutely quality. You can tell it's fresh. All the produce is amazing. But then you need to be and this is actually a wee travel tip for people going to Italy. You need to make sure it says tomato sauce on the pizza.
Yep.
Otherwise, have you been caught out with this?
Well, I've not been caught out with it personally, but my friends have been caught out with it. I also cheat and need to specify if it says cheese as well. But the thing is, so I learned this through Paisano. So when you go to Paisano, you can get number 1. That's just bread and then sauce. No cheese. So I remember my mate Brad, he's like number 1, and then shout out Brad, I know you'll listen. This is ages ago as well, when we went to fucking Paisano, and then he orders number 1. It's like, it's the cheapest one as well, and it's like, just I can see it says tomato. So then he's ordered it, and it's just came out, and there's just like wee bits of garlic you can see on it, and then a wee basil leaf. And he's like, the fuck's my cheese? And I was like, you didn't order it, mate.
No cheese.
So no cheese. So I needs to like specify.
Is that still an option in Paisano?
I'm sure it's
a thing. It's a thing that they do. Like, do you know what I mean? So they either have like, it will just be like a tomato, like a pizza with tomato, no cheese, or just a pizza just cheese.
It's a white pizza, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mad. All amazing though. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. Two different kind of vibes with the holiday. Like we had that intense sitting. We accidentally tied it in with Napoli winning the league. Right, which was, and I couldn't have done that if I tried, like, because we booked it last year.
Oh, did you?
We booked it last year. So
shit,
what is the chances of us tying in with Napoli winning the first league title in 30 years?
One of my neighbours, or my mum's neighbour, sorry, had a Napoli flag like outside the window. And I'm like, what? Aye, that's crazy.
And it was mental. Do you know actually what I saw quite a lot, which I didn't expect to see throughout Naples? Was there were a lot of them were flying the Confederate flag. So see, like Southern America, Yankees,
the Dukes of Hazzard, like
Dukes of Hazzard,
that shit.
Confederate flag, right? Which obviously has like massive like, racial connotations and stuff. But apparently, it's the whole kind of thing is that the South will rise again, and that's the kind of North-South divide in Italy, which is quite interesting. But then obviously there is also the racial undertones with it, because I think a lot of the hardcore support is kind of racist.
Quite racist, yeah.
Little bit racist.
Well, you've seen that in a lot, especially within the football. Like I think that, I mean, people can fact check me, or we can fact check it ourselves. But that is it Series A, Series B, Serie A, Serie B, or whatever it is, like the Italian football league, like is littered with racism. I think like
was it a massive incident? Did they know like 10 years ago?
Was all that shit with Balotelli as well?
Monkey chants and stuff.
Oh, yeah, shit like that. So I think it is like still they're a few years behind.
Yeah,
should we say?
Aye.
Remember Ilya?
Yeah. You
So
just want to pure gym.
Italian mate. He was the first that kind of told me how bad it was. Obviously, he's Bologna. He's from Bologna.
From
Bologna.
North, yeah.
He said it's rife, man. It's bad.
Yeah.
It's full on.
You think that there's hard nuts here with Rangers and Celtic? It's like, nah.
Do you know what else is mental about Italy? They have an affinity for tenant super.
Yeah. Oh, aye. Love it.
This is mind
No, it's the
blowing.
most confusing thing ever. Because I remember the first time I went,
Mad.
and then you're seeing it like now you got not a vending machine, but now there's like fridges in shops, and it's like right at the door, and you can go in, you can grab a can of Fanta, water, tenant super. Come on, what?
Excuse me.
What?
See, when you first seen it, did you forget like, oh, it's just normal to see that? I'll wait a minute. I'm fucking
No, like
in Italy.
like restaurants as well. So
they
like,
love it.
if you want like Moretti, Peroni, tenant super.
Tenant super.
I never really knew we were much an export. Like for tenants,
it's,
you know what I mean?
It's tenants' biggest export.
Wow, man.
I used to work for a company that was owned by tenants, and tenants super was tenants' biggest
I never knew that.
export.
It's mental because it's like Jakey juice
It is
over
Jakey
here,
juice,
and over there it's Craft Lager.
Did you have one a few things?
Do you know I didn't actually?
Did you not?
I absolutely hate it.
expected you.
I remember once when, to quite fair, it was out a can when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like I had like 4 or 5 cans of it.
Fucking hell.
9% lager. I was like 15 or 16, and I was wasted.
Tenant super lager. You want me to tell you?
And
Remember that video?
no,
No, do you remember it?
I kind of know. what
You
you're
get a
talking
Scottish alky guy on like a bus in England, and he's arguing with everybody, and he's like, "Tenant super lager. Do you want me to fucking tell you?"
about. I can remember.
But so I've got a kind of mental block with it.
Yeah.
Can't go near it.
I
I
think
actually don't think I've tried it ever.
I've had a sip of it. I've never had a fucking like sat down and scooped it before.
If
I've
you're
only made 4 cans.
It's
Yeah.
bad times.
This will
man.
probably also upset people. Tenants is shite.
Aye, my brother loves it.
I don't understand why
disagree.
if you've got a variety of
Disagree.
when you've got a variety of beers there, and you choose tenants, questions need to be asked.
Nah, like see if you. I don't think there's actually much better than an icy, cold, crisp pint of Tennent's poured
I
Vitamin
could tell
T.
you a few.
and poured into a clean vessel. Good head on it, as we like. Just there's nothing better. I don't know. There is stuff better, like, but to me, I think that Tennent's is up there with one of the best beers. Yeah,
I actually think it's
a
like
good pint of it. When you think of it like pure warm at a can, of course, think about any beer, it's going to be shite.
it's just
And I'm a fan of IPAs and all this
tea in the
wanky
park-
beers, you know it. But
warm Tenants out of can is tea in the park PTSD.
exactly.
Like that's why. But you know, it's always a 5 or a 6 out of 10. It's not amazing. If somebody says it's amazing, you're lying.
It's right in the middle.
Right. So, but you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting with it.
You're getting with it.
Consistent.
Exactly. And see, because it's like in pubs and all that, see, because it's poured so much that the pipes and all that are always clean. They're always looked after. So it's.
I've got a few stories about a few bars that aren't. A few famous bars. Now, I don't want to go out and say them because
Shite bag of
I might get sued. I'll tell you after, but I'll basically tell the story, right? So, like I said, I used to work for a company that was owned by tenants.
Mm-hmm.
And we would do like a bunch of like marketing for them and brand activation and all this other stuff. And quite often we would be in charge of getting like people who would potentially go out to these pubs and like change the bar fonts and stuff like that. Like Katie did a bunch of that, where she would go out and then replace the bar font with a new one. So I would like get staff in to go and do all that sort of stuff. But there was a thing that came out about a very, very famous pub in the West End.
What does it sound like?
No, I'm not going to say that.
You don't need to say the name, but
no, because there's no other way.
Does it sound like Schmellersmoons?
No, it doesn't. But basically, it's a very famous pub in the West End, and there was complaints of not just tenants. There's a few other beers, but not how you go to somewhere and it's like, oh, that's a shite pint. That's a shite pint.
Aye.
So like tenants pick up on this sort of stuff, so they send people and go like, well, we don't want our name to be tarnished with like being a shite pint. So
that's interesting.
they'll go out and they'll kind of see why. So, and a lot of the times, if you get a shite pint of tenants, it's because of the glass, right? And the often reason that a lot of the times if you get a shite beer, it's because of the glass, because the glass isn't cleaned properly. Not to say that the glass is dirty, but if you were to sit there and wash a glass with like fairy liquid, essentially what happens is there's like a residue that kind of goes onto the glass. And then if you notice at the bottom of all pint glasses, most of them,
a wee thing.
Yeah, have like the logo. I can't remember what that's actually called, but basically at the bottom of that glass is ridged, and it helps with the effervescence, aka the kind of fizz of the beer.
Effervescence.
Bet you didn't know how much I knew about beer. So it kind of helped with the effervescence of the pint. So if there was a lack of that, you would say that's a flat pint. There's nothing wrong with the actual beer, it's just the glass that it's in. So they went out and went, right, okay, you're washing your glasses correctly. Yeah, you are. Right, let's check the lines. They go to check the lines. There's actually small slugs inside the lines of the pints of tenants and other pints as well in this very, very famous bar in the West End of Glasgow. Not shitting you, I seen the pictures, there was pictures of it. I sat down, I was at a table with these people and we were talking about it, and they were like, this is what we want. Like, we think it might be the glassware, but sometimes we
Does
also
the name of the bar have one word or two words in it?
I'm not going to tell. I'll tell you that. You'll know after. I'm just not going to say it. I'm not going to incriminate myself in case maybe I'll get it wrong, but that I definitely haven't. Like, that happened.
Oh my.
So
fuck me.
That's fear, that.
Yeah, major fear. Just drinking bottles from now on. But yeah, legit wee small black slugs inside the lines. And
Sounds like a start a bad movie, doesn't it? Evolution.
I remember that.
Remember? Wee slugs, then they get bigger.
Never
No,
heard
do you
it.
not remember
No, no.
Jeff's the smiley face.
Jeff
Bezos.
Goldblum? Is it Goldblum?
Something like that.
Potentially.
Good actor, anyway.
So that's enough about slugs and pints. I think there was a couple of things that we did want to actually kind of go into and hash out a wee bit on the pod today. So, what were they? Danny, Evan?
We want to talk about the new Meta Verified that's popped up.
Yes, exactly. I put out a wee thing on my story saying this, like, what's people's thoughts on people being able to buy verification or buy blue ticks. Essentially, and you were in the wee comment section saying, let's talk about this in the podcast. And I'll try and bring up a couple of the responses I got. I'm sure you could imagine what the responses I kind of got were. Mm-hmm. But like, what's your initial feedback? Because I've heard like both sides of it, and I've got my thoughts on it.
So I see it from 2 points. I see it from the point of like,
so I think we're going to be exact.
Yeah,
I think we're all.
There's people who just want to seem important and who want to come across as they look as if they're maybe
It's a year ago today.
kind of like, you know, famous and important or something like that. There's the people who want it for that, right?
Yeah.
But let's go back to like what the blue tick was. The blue tick was when like someone in the public eye, someone famous, were having people who were creating fake accounts based off their name. So for them to keep their kind of account and for them people to know it's definitely them, the blue tick became kind of the thing, right? The Meta Verified. It wasn't called that before. It was just called
the blue
tick, right?
It was on Twitter as well.
On Twitter, right? Yeah. So then it came on Instagram and that. So that was the kind of full reason Now, obviously, people can buy it, which then means it kind of in a way loses its thing, it loses its credibility in a way, or it just becomes another thing. However, I actually think that everybody will have a blue tick, will need to have a blue tick.
Yep, that was going to be my point.
With the full way of like spam accounts, scam accounts, it's rife now, man. The amount of people that follow you on a day-to-day basis or message you on a day-to-day basis from these weird bookie accounts and bards, under 18, over 18 things, all these weird fucking things. So it's getting to a point where it's just to stop these accounts even being active.
Identity verification.
Exactly. And unless you can do that, you'll not be able to create an Instagram account. So it will actually be from the offset. Maybe let's say in a couple of years' time, to create an Instagram account, you'll need to get the meta verified happening just to have it. But we all need to get it to continue accessing that.
I that was going to be my point, and I 100% agree. And I think that in order to have any form of social media account, you will need to be verified. And I think that I was reading through some of my responses there, so if I repeat some of the things you said, I do apologise. But like, I think that, see, if you just look at it from a perspective of like, what are the positives of having it? Everybody looks at the negatives. What are the positives from having a blue tick? None of us have it, right? Here, just
you guys don't have it.
Me and Danny don't have it. I don't have it, right? Yet, right? But when you come to look at things like such as like paedophile rings, like people like creepy men chatting to younger girls or boys on social media, that's where a lot of these, that's how they capture these pedo hunters, right? Is because people have been chatting to people online, right? So if you're a verified person, then you're held accountable essentially, and you can't hide behind the username. Bullying, harassment, racism, all these things, you're almost held responsible for the things that you say online. So I think that it's did you make that point at all? Because I was
no, I don't think you did. No.
And I think that from that perspective, it then is a really, really positive thing, because then it's like, well, obviously we want to be in a space where, especially if we're going to have kids and stuff like that now, that where
to be safe.
you don't want fucking creeps talking to people. Now, not to say that it's going to get rid of the creeps, but it's just going to make it a little bit more difficult for the creeps to seep through the cracks essentially, or not get caught.
I think it will make social media a more tolerable place to be. Do you know what I mean? Because people do hide behind their profiles and their username. I actually saw something today that fucked me off, right? I don't get triggered, right, like at all. But there was basically some migrants died in a boat, right, coming to the UK or something, and it was on Twitter, and this guy like quote tweeted it, and his profile picture was a British bulldog with a Union Jack over it.
Of course it was.
Of course it. Why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Right. And it was
that guy's bald.
Yeah, and he's got tattoos on his knuckles, right? Yeah. And it says something along the lines of "Oh, good riddance," or something like that. And I was like, "Fuck me, man! How polluted is your mind?" Right? But the point I'm making is that if he was actually himself on social media and not God Save the Queen 1 2 3 4 on Twitter, right? Would he have said that? That people hide behind it. See, like the whole Caroline Flack thing and stuff as well from years ago. All the vile stuff that was getting chucked at her, and anyone else that's ever had it on social media. The folk wouldn't do it if it was actually them. Do you know what I mean? Or maybe some folk would.
Maybe they would, exactly. And it's and that again, that's so people are entitled to say what they want to say. And I think the thing is, so there is positives of that, but then there also is negatives of that. If we like start to put our tinfoil hats on a wee bit and be like, are we now creeping down towards the whole social media? We spoke about this on earlier episodes about that. Remind me of what it's called, the one in China. Paul.
The social kind of...
Oh, the fucking ID thing, the social...
Basically, there's a social media...
Social credit score.
So in China, you have a social credit score. And anything that you do on social media is also impacted, like the fact that whether or not you can like get a mortgage or get credit
travel
or whatever, or travel or do whatever. So like, are we then going down that...
shit in it.
Yeah, are we going down the route of like total control? Where like... Is it going down that way where it's like anything you do, it has to be like linked directly back to you, and is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? And I think on Twitter, so Twitter have done it first. So Twitter have had the blue tick thing that you could buy Twitter Blue for 8 since Elon took over, and it's like you've got the option to do it, so you can do it if you want, or you don't need to do it. There's also the option to buy a gold tick, which is like for higher up in companies. I think you pay like $1,000 a month or something like that to like have like a gold tick. But it's like, so Twitter, I feel like all these social media companies just copy what Twitter do. Twitter do it first, and then they try and...
They kind of go back. But see, the thing is, I think for businesses and stuff, the whole blue tick thing makes a bit of sense.
Yep.
Because you get better SEO stuff, you get better marketing, just to simplify it and whatever. So I think, see, if you run a business,
Yep.
and then you make a business decision to buy a blue tick,
Yep.
right, as long as it's not to make you look like Billy Big Boss,
Yep.
and it's actually for your business,
Yep.
that's a good shout.
Yep.
See, if you're just someone that, I don't know, is a kind of Love Island wank and just wants to look famous,
Yeah.
you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Simple.
It looks to me that it will actually, it's probably going to benefit you having it even now, because they're probably going to view these accounts that have it as more authentic, as more genuine, as safer, and more likely, you know what it's like trying to get an algorithm and all the rest of it, put the account out there.
Yeah.
So it's probably, it's going to be soon, no doubt, for us three and anybody else in the kind of fitness space, it's probably going to be...
I think for businesses, it's probably going to be... So I was talking to Deck and Don about this, who both purchased a blue tick, and we'll kind of get onto why. And they were, when I told them we were going to talk about this in the podcast, they were like, get us in, we want to like say a little bit on it, and blah blah blah, and they were fired up talking about it. And I can like, because obviously from their point of view, they essentially, I'm followed daily by fake Deck accounts.
I messaged one another day.
Did you?
Right, and it was a Crypto Glasgow account, and he messaged me. What did the prick say? Right, and he said something along like, "Hey Evan," like, oh, here it is, right. Hey Evan, how you doing or whatever? And I went, "You're not Crypto Glasgow, fuck off."
The thing is, like, people they know have been scammed, like, because they thought it was them.
Aye.
And it's like, so like, it makes so much sense when you take people's finances, the hard-earned money into account. You get some wee boy from India, could be anybody else. I'm just picking that. Before fucking MD gets butt hurt. Like, people messaging being like, how's your investments going, blah blah blah, and I'll get it on the regular. Do you know what I mean? And it is mad. So I think for guys like that, it's essential that they have it. It's essential because people need to be safe. And to be fair, like, you need to have your wits about you anyway, but for those who don't, like, it's like if it was my mum, for example, I mean, hopefully she wouldn't fucking just start sending people thousands of pounds. If she does, she should be sending it to me, not fucking some random people online, but you get what I'm saying? Like, those types of people, like, at that age, are probably most likely to kind of fall for a lot of these scams.
Do you know, I can't actually... Do you remember the Nigerian prince scam?
Yes, I was thinking.
That's how you were thinking as well.
Yeah.
You email people. The amount of people that just...
Mine is whatever his name is. I'm a Nigerian prince, but my money's stuck in an account. Can you send me money? Then I'll send you money.
No, I have a fucking amazing story for you. I cannot believe I've never said this story before. Ha! Strap in, right? Shout out my mate. Please,
I'm ready.
Right, shout out my mate Andy Graham. Right. Andy Graham. Oh, I can't wait to tell the boys I've told this story. I feel like I've said it before on the podcast.
No, I've never seen you this animated.
No, it's just because it's came up organically. There's so many things we were meant to talk about in today's show, and we'll probably never talk about them, but that's fine.
Next episode.
So, it was my old flatmate, Andy Graham, right? We used to have a flat in East Kilbride. It was his dad's flat. Mum and Dad's flat. They lived in Dubai, and then he came back over when he was like 19, whatever. So I moved in with him, and it was a great time. So many memories and other stories from that flat. But we'll get onto this one. And it was around about the time when Flappy Birds was like a thing, right? And remember, Flappy Birds was shutting down. Remember it?
Yes.
We're not doing it anymore. So if you update your phone, the software will not be compatible with Flappy Birds, and everyone was freaking out and they went blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
Right, but people were selling old phones and old iPads with Flappy Birds in it. Do you remember this?
Yes.
Right? I was like, fuck. I was like, if I got an old thing on it, I was like, I think I do. An old iPod Touch, I think that's on it. Right, Andy had an iPad on it. Flappy Birds. He's like, mate, I can sell this. And he's like, wait, it's still my iCloud store. I was like, I could get my sister's iPad, my mum's iPad, dad's iPad, download it onto it, like, with my iCloud, and like put it in it. Mate, I can make fortunes. I can make like $5,000. Sell the iPad for like $1,000, $2,000. So anyway, he fucks it on eBay. So you just get this one, he fucks it on eBay. And then this person from Texas, Fort Worth, Texas or something like that, messaged him and was like, here, like, I want it, I'll put a bid in, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, fucking sound, like, what do you think? And he was like, $1,200 US or something. I can't remember the price. And he was like, fuck yes, let's go. He was buzzing, and me and the boys were sitting there like fucking, I don't know, watching something, playing Xbox or whatever. And we're like, fuck's sake, like, I might try and see what I can find. I can't believe he's actually going to make like fucking a few G's off this. So he's like, he's getting ready to package it up and all that. And then he gets a message from the person. He's like, right, so my daughter is currently out in Africa doing some charity work. She's out in Africa doing some charity work right now. And it's like, and it's essentially for hearts to cheer her up. There's not much technology going on over there, and just to send it out. He's like, all right, no bother. So the address they originally got was like this pure mansion, like gated community vibes. We were on Google. Remember, we were on Street Air going like that. Oh, obviously it's this person. They've got door. Look at the house, man. House is massive in a gated community and all that. So if you can send it to my daughter, she's in Nigeria. I think it was Nigeria. It might have been somewhere else in Africa, but it was Africa. So there's Andy, boxes this thing up, fucking writes Africa on the box.
UPS, take to Africa.
Just Africa.
Down at the post office, blah, 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 blah. Post it to him, sends it away. Off it gets. A couple of days go by, a couple of weeks go by. It was, what happened to that iPad? And he was quite quiet, but he's like, I know, I never really got any money for that. I feel like, what? What do you mean? He's like, yeah, I was chasing that up and fucking they didn't pay it. And we were like, hold on, let me get this straight. I was like, you just sent an iPad without receiving payment to Africa. Paid for postage, paid for packaging, customs, all the rest of it, just without receiving any money. And he was like, yep. And me and all the boys for years, to this day, it's about 10 years ago this happened, to this day still bring it up. Mate, we'll Google pictures like African kids with iPads and just fucking in the group chat every now and then. And oh my god, it's hilarious. So I think he's gonna have to that's gonna haunt him to the day.
That's one of the ones just try to get sleep and a thought keeps in.
And you're like, it'll ruin the rest of your week thinking about it.
Yeah.
Shout out Andy Graham.
Shout out African.
Hope you loved your iPod.
Probably still using that iPad.
Somebody's got literally someone in Africa has been, I cannot believe that's fucking worked.
Wow.
That's fucking.
And it had Flappy Birds on it.
Wonder how many people that person done that. You know.
Mate, I know. Honestly, I just couldn't believe it.
That post office, like, fucking all these
I was right. See, at the time he was fucking so raging about it, so you couldn't speak about it when he was around.
How long did it take?
Oh god, years.
Did it? Did it actually?
Well, I don't. It took a fucking long time. And
I wonder what the guy
he laughs about it now. Obviously,
I wonder what the guy's scoring Flappy Bird.
I was going to say, do you wonder?
He's a pro.
I think he was panicking that as well because like his iCloud and information, and all that shit was probably still on it and that. That oh man, just fucking boxed up an iPad and sent it to Africa.
That's class. That is absolutely class.
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow.
Big tangent there.
The massive. I love when stuff like that happens.
The fuck were we talking about?
We're talking about the blue ticks. Do you remember when you knew you had made it on Instagram or somebody felt like they'd made it on Instagram when they hit 10,000 followers and then they could swipe up on their stories? And then it was
add links.
Add links. It's like swipe up on my next story. That was basically just swinging your dick about.
Yeah.
People can swipe up. Look how big my penis is.
Then this is how people started paying for fake followers to get there.
So they could do the swipe up.
Yep.
Fun times.
No, but back on the. In fact,
I actually kind of got scammed on Instagram. No scam, but you can say scammed for like it was 9. No, that did happen as well. But the Instagram. So back in 2018, used to get accounts that would message and say, "Oh, we give shout outs," and I was like, "Well, sound." And 65 quid or something like that. And I'm like, they gave us a shout out and then I get loads of followers. And I was like, this is brilliant. I went up to for like 700 followers to like 1,500 or something. I was like, I'll do a few of these, man. This is brilliant, right? And then maybe like 2 weeks go by and I'm like, the accounts, I'm getting loads of likes on my stuff all the time. Like, this is brilliant, this is good, this is engagement, blah, blah. Then I start looking at the accounts that were liking me. Didn't really pay attention back then to who was liking your stuff. He just kind of took the likes. I started looking, it was just like, it's Sarah Silvanka, Jimmy Jabampa, and all these mad weird fake names, man. And I looked and it was like, no followers, no followers, no followers, with like 6 posts. It was just like they spammed my page with like 600 new followers, or just fake accounts, or just all bots. Then it completely fucked my Instagram, because Instagram will like basically saying like, oh, you've got all these fake. So you end up, did we see my posts and all that? Had to sit and go for like a month for unfollowing all the fucking new followers that I gained for the 65 quid.
What did you think was going to come for that?
I don't know, man. I thought it was genuinely. I looked at the account and I was like, that's a genuine account. Like, loads of followers, getting loads of engagement and all that. It looks real. Looks like a mad guy. Like, this is good. This is perfect.
You only learn by doing, don't you? Just somebody messaged me similar kind of thing, and okay, blah blah for shout outs or followers or whatever it was, and I went, yep, I'll do it, but only if you tell me your favourite Scottish football stadium. Right? And then they went on and googled it, and they went, right, Hampden Park. I was like, no, you need to voice note, mate. And they're like, Hampden Park.
You're just toying with them.
Oh yeah. I was like, wait, what's Peterheads? It was funny.
Love it.
So I put on my story last week, what's everyone's thoughts on people buying the blue ticks, right? So I'm going to read out the responses from other people. Now bear in mind, there's some fruitful language, shall we say. So if I say something, this is what other people have said.
You're just relaying.
I'm just relaying what I said.
You didn't see it.
I didn't see it.
Jordan Green did not say it.
So this is what the majority. I'll read out some of the other ones as well. Makes sense if you have a genuine need for it, other than to look cool or act hard. That was one of the response. Next response: heavy gimps, wanky as fuck, wanks, wankers, tragic, goons, gimp behaviour, cringe. If you were a loser before it, even more so now. Wee lassie behaviour, ha, gay, desperate, defeats the purpose if you have to buy it. Another gay. People can do what they want. If that's something you need to worry about having in life, then I'm glad I've not got that problem. Genius from Instagram, which I'll get on to. Absolute wankers. Your money, do what the fuck you want with it. All hype, gimps. What's so important about blue tick that people have to have it? That's the question. I've lost my mind. Paying for validation, who cares? Ready. So that's the kind of, there's a few more, but that's the kind of general consensus of the responses. So most of the siding on gimps, and then some people are like, do what you want, and like, doesn't really matter, kind of thing. But one of the ones, as my mate Mark said, that it's genius from Insta, and it actually is, because in a day, guess how much. Now this, I don't know if this is facts or not. I just seen a post about it, so it could be wrong. But in one day, what was reported that they had earned?
100 million.
150 million.
660 million.
What?
In 24 hours.
For blue ticks?
For blue ticks.
Do you know that's amazing? Because it's like, see, as a business, if you can get people to pay for something that they're already kind of getting.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That's genius.
See, it's great.
Or something that they're already kind of using. It's like a bolt on.
What a bit of profit they'd have been like, fucking hell.
Here we
We've
go.
not to do it. We've not
For
to
a few
we've not to
pixels.
do it in here.
Literally, just for some pixels.
We're paying the staff already. It's helping the people get the blue tick. Boom.
660
Just earned that.
Apparently, in 24 hours. Obviously,
Wow.
it could be more now.
So, see, looking at this, right? Sorry, but it seems then that for a lot of people who have it might be affected for a wee bit of time. People not following and all that because they've got it, thinking they're dicks, they're goons, or the rest of it, which is quite shite because people do need it. Like Deck, they'll need it because it's, as we touched on the kind of scamming side of things. So I think for a while this could affect people a little bit until eventually people realise why you need it, until eventually, without a question, Instagram make everybody get it.
Yeah.
Probably not paid though.
Yeah.
Probably just have it.
Yeah.
I think, see, from like as well.
You can do it on dating sites now, actually. I found out. Not because
How did you find out?
One of my clients was telling me. One of my clients was telling me because I was talking to him about the whole thing. He's like, like on my
Catfish.
Should I give my shout out so that people know
on
he's single?
thingy, on thingy, like if you go on, I can't remember which one it was. Might have been Hinge or Bumble. One of them. I don't think it was Tinder, but you can like verify your account. Which I think on dating sites is probably
Safe bet.
pretty essential. Because like imagine you're talking to a pure 10 out of 10, right? And then you're like, I don't know, but then if it's got like the tick next to them and you're like, well, this is that the person in these pictures, the person I'm talking to, it's going to make you feel a little bit safer when you're navigating these sites, innit?
Yeah.
These apps.
Yeah.
We will never have that problem though.
No, never. Hopefully.
Question marks. I think there was a couple of other things I wanted to go in the blue tick thing, but let's not spend too much time on it.
No,
But,
I'm done with
I
blue
think
ticks.
that I side with you, Danny, and I think that everyone's going to end up getting it, and I don't really think that it's that much of a big deal. I mean, I'll probably end up getting one, to be honest. But
Do you know what bothers me? Sorry, unrelated. Kind of related. See, just normal people boosting their posts.
oh yeah, aye,
Like, cause I've sort of just like normal people
I've had that.
boosting a post. Why are you boosting a post? Why?
I've had it with like birds, like
Just random.
some bird that she's
Like-
in Lanzarote. I'm like, why am I seeing
What?
this?
Why are you boosting that
Boosted post. Why
post?
am I seeing this?
Yeah, but it's that is, I don't know, validation's a word. Like, I want likes, I want to be seen, I want all this stuff, which is a problem with social media that we can chat about another
Yeah.
time. Because that's a whole podcast in its own.
Nothing new though.
Nah.
It's just evolving, isn't it?
Yeah.
Next up on the agenda, we spent we spent a long time in these topics. What's the next thing on the agenda?
Well, I've been thinking about and brought up about anxiety then now.
Oh yeah.
And it was basically like the question kind of asked was like anxiety. Are people actually anxious? Do people actually have anxiety? I'll put it to you as like when you think about anxiety now, and when you think about people saying it, and you think about everything around it, what comes to mind like when you think about it?
I think we're probably going to rehash a lot of the thoughts and comments we had when we spoke about ADHD. Where, in fact, and something on that, I'm getting adverts now. Sorry I'll bring it back, right? But I'm getting adverts now, and it's like some bird. She's like, "Here's how I deal with my high functioning ADHD. I use an app called Notion or Motion, and that arranges my day and arranges my calendar and all that." And I'm like, what a scumbag company to like try and profit off the back of ADHD.
The phone's listening, mate.
It's fucked up.
Or they try to help people with ADHD.
What? You pay 40 quid a year for a fucking Google Calendar that just sets itself? Like, it's bullshit. A lot of nonsense. But coming back, so bring it back to anxiety, and I think that it might, again, we can take the same similarities where our people spend too much time on social media looking at things that are unattainable, looking at people who look better than them, are leaner than them, have more money than them, have better cars than them, bigger houses, nicer holidays, and they're maybe feeling anxious because they're not there, or shit like that. It's just it can stem from that, but I often find that anxiety comes from the things that you're avoiding. Do you know what I mean? Because I get anxious. Like I'll never sit here and say that I ever get depressed or anything like that, because I've never really felt that. But I'll feel the emotions of anxiety, and then people are very, very quick to let their emotions take over them, or they let their emotions name themselves. So like, we all feel sad at some point. Doesn't mean that I am sad. I feel anxious at some points. Doesn't mean I am anxious. They're like fleeting. They come and go, and I think you're meant to have these emotions. I don't think you're ever meant to not be sad or not be anxious. Maybe even potentially not be depressed. Maybe you are meant to experience these things at certain points, but it doesn't mean that as whenever you feel something like that, that is just who you are or what you become.
Yeah, I think people then identify themselves as that person.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, that's me. I'm an
anxious person.
I'm an anxious person.
I'm a sad person.
Actually, I'm a very anxious person. Whoa. I saw...
Someone's getting mauled by a dog outside.
There's a dog barking outside, right? But when I was sitting waiting outside, a car drove past and a wee woman was walking her dogs, and there was this big massive bully thing in the back of the car, right? And it started barking, and it tried to hop out the window at these wee dogs, and it was out to its waist. Do dogs have waists? I don't know. I shat myself though, because I was sitting at the wee wooden benches over there. I took my feet off the ground. So
that's going to help.
It's going to come for me.
Okay.
But I actually am an anxious person, crippling. Sometimes manage it a lot better now. We're not going to dive into.
Let's make this about you, Evan.
Let's make this about me.
Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Jordan. But I think TikTok is a problem. We speak about it constantly and stuff like that. Actually, one of my clients said, "Oh, should I take ashwagandha?" Right?
Right.
And I was like, I was diving into it a little bit, and I was like, "Can I ask a question? Are you struggling with anything just now? Like, why did you ask that?" I saw it on TikTok. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that TikTok is people's lens into all these other bits and bobs, it's polluting people's minds.
That's
I don't know how many times I've been asked if I should go on creatine this year for clients.
Go on it.
TikTok.
Hop on it like it's train or something like that.
Should I go on creatine? Listen, should I go on creatine? I've been asked so many times. I'm like, well, good supplement research, but where'd you get it from? TikTok. I seen it last to use it. I was like, okay.
It's so strange. But I think that, like the whole heightened versions of people thinking that they're anxious and stuff like that all the time. I have bouts of anxiety, but they all, and I note it every time, it all stems from things I'm avoiding.
Yep.
If I'm avoiding a task, a thing, a client, whatever, a problem, an issue, could be something to do with work, training, or even relationships, something to do with your message, you're like avoiding something or avoiding a conversation you don't want to have. It's like
it's the anticipation of the future.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You're thinking about
Say that again.
the anticipation of the future.
That's it.
That's how I look at it. That's what two things have hit me before, and it was the anticipation of the future.
Right.
Thinking about and then avoidance. They're the two things for me.
You'd see by worrying about something like that, you put yourself through it twice.
For maybe 40 seconds to then be, that was actually all right. And then you're over
actually sound. But by worrying about something, you actually have to live that thing twice.
Yeah, that's bang on, Ev.
Whereas what you should do is you just fucking attack it, deal with it, and it's never really.
And this is funny because the thing is, because we can all say this, probably at some point this week, maybe today, we might have a small bout of anxiety about something. But it's just like, I don't think that you're ever going to avoid it. And I think that people need to realise that, like, things just happen. It's in accordance with nature, right? It just fucking happens to you. Shit happens. Right? It doesn't matter. I had told that wee story. It was like, it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. It just is. So things are going to happen. And I think you actually need to experience a level of those certain types of emotion in order to trigger the action. Because if you just were completely stonewalled, stoic, and just like nothing affects me all the time, then it's not really going to drive much action, I feel. Because I feel like when you're faced with something like that, it either drives complete inaction or like complete and utter conviction and action. Like you either get like two kind of responses from it, and you should always just lean to the action side and then to kind of overcome it rather than the avoidance side. But that was good, the anticipation of future. I've never really thought about it like that. Quite like that.
I was listening to something as well that kind of chatting about drive and action, is that people take more action when things are like really bad as compared to when things are just okay. So see if you're like kind of coasting along, chances are you'll take less action than when you actually hit not rock bottom, but something that is mega serious or mega important will actually kind of propel you to take more action. Which I
think it's it's called the region beta paradox.
It is.
Aye.
It
And
is.
I remember hearing this.
I genuinely think that will most likely be the case for everybody all the time. And I actually think it's part of kind of like it is just is what it is.
Yeah.
I think like sometimes when it gets to that, that's when the best resolution happens. That's when you take the action that was you weren't maybe going to take the correct action, taking the action before, if you did maybe get to it beforehand. So when it gets to that kind of point, I think it creates the best response.
Yeah. Like talking on that kind of clip, and they kind of speak on the fact that so many people live lives of just like silent and quiet desperation, where it's like nothing's really inherently that bad that it's forcing them to change, therefore they never change. And it's like things need to get to almost like a like below 0 point in order for them to be like, this needs to change. So it would almost benefit them, the situation being worse, then it would be better. And I found that in situations, I don't know if it's just because I built that up in my head, but when I've worked jobs in the past, I build up so much in my head that I'm like, this is the fucking worst thing on planet Earth. I need to do something else. So I was just quicker to make that action. Whereas, like I've got friends, and I've spoke to some of my clients as well, who like don't like what they're doing, but they kind of make all right money, and I kind of get holidays, and it's kind of all right. So it's like it would favour them if their boss fucking was like a cunt to them constantly. It would favour them if they were
force their
making
hand
no
'cause
money.
they're
It
comfortable.
would favour them if they had no holidays or no perks. But it's like people are blinded by free pizza and a company car to try and like keep them happy in their jobs and stuff like
Comfortable.
that. Aye, they're just comfortable because they've got these kind of, well, it's not that bad. We get to dress down on a Friday, and it's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
You hate Monday and Thursday. Aye. All right.
Aye, but it's, I can wear my shorts to the office
do you
on a
know,
Friday, so it's not that bad. And it's like,
I have
fuck.
zero tolerance for folk that kind of choose that mediocrity. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that not everyone needs to be a fucking rocket scientist or run their own business or whatever, but see people that don't like their situation but then choose it just because it's easy and comfortable. I'm like, fucking wasting your life, hen.
I do
Like,
find it hard to sympathise if someone complains about the situation they're in but doesn't want to or chooses to do nothing about it. And I'm like, well, I can't sympathise with that. I can't help you with that because then, like, that's your choice. You're choosing to be there. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, oh well, I can't find this or I can't find that.
Yeah, because you'll get the argument will be it's not my choice, it's not as easy as that, blah blah blah. But like that's the full point. Like making the decision is hard. It's always going to be hard no matter what. But then off the back of the hard decisions, usually better things.
Every single kind of hurdle I've had in like my career, so to say, my working life as an adult, I've done the thing that you weren't typically meant to supposed to do. So like when I worked for a company, things are going really, really well. I left. I went down the whole corporate route and you were meant to stick on that and like left. Like, do you know what I mean? At every stage I kind of just like went against the grain a wee bit. And I'm not saying I'm fucking Elon Musk by any means. But what I'm saying is that I'm just, definitely not. But what I am saying is that I'm happy in
On
my
the similar
situation.
spectrum, but
Yeah, aye, both slightly autistic, but I'm happy with my situation. They're no. So I'm like, and I've been reading this book, and it speaks a lot about like, well, what is a wealthy person? What is a rich person? What does that actually mean? And it's like you can get someone who works at Morgan Stanley making 150 grand a year, works 80 hours a week, or you can get someone that makes 50 grand a year, works 3-4 hours a day, chooses to spend 3 weeks abroad 4 times a year, and gets to take their kid to baseball practice every single day. Who's I know, speaking of the American shit you're reading.
America.
Who's more rich? Who's more wealthy? And I know a million times out of a million, I'm choosing that route rather than the 150 grand whatever route down Morgan Stanley. I know that every single day of the week. I just think about it constantly. Every single Tuesday, I'm fucking walking Hattie about, walking the dog about, and I'm like that. Mate, everyone I know is at work right now, and I'm like sitting with my coffee and a wee croissant, just fucking feeding Hattie. She's laughing, we're joking, and I'm like, who else is doing this?
I was actually speaking to a client, right, who I won't name drop her or anything, but she has been experiencing guilt, right, because of the way that she's able to live her life just now. So she was like historically she was previously like she had a job like a teacher or something like that, but now she's like self-employed, I think, semi in like her boyfriend's company or whatever. But anyway, the point I'm making is that our time's leveraged, so she's kind of like choosing to start her work at 12 because she can, and she can go out in the morning and she can go out and do these other bits and bobs, and her life is infinitely better because she has more balance and stuff, and she's been experiencing this
it's almost like imposter syndrome in a way.
Yeah, a little
Kinda
bit, but like
but is that a
this
thing?
kind of, it's almost like success guilt. And I said to her, I was like, look, fucking, does the guy that's in the Ferrari like waste his time thinking about the person in the Pinto? No, he's driving about his Ferrari.
It goes back to views, doesn't it? How
Aye.
you view it, the situation, there's your perspective on it.
You can totally understand why they would probably feel that way, but like,
Because
fucking credit to you, man.
Should I start my day at 12? Yes. See if you can. Why wouldn't you? Now, don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean like she's lazy or anything like that, but see if you have the ability to do that, or to basically live your life the way that you want to, that's congruent with the vision for yourself or whatever else like that, fucking go for it. Because do you know what? because you're able to do that, you deserve it. Do you know what I mean? You've worked to get yourself to there through your previous choices. Fucking rock it.
But you'll probably be seeing stuff on social media that's this grind mentality, work hard mentality, up at 5 mentality, work everywhere under the sun, 7 days a week, constantly grinding, constantly smashing it. Do you see a lot of that?
Aye.
So she's probably maybe seen that and go, well, fuck, should I be?
Should I be
doing that?
grinding?
I'm earning good money, I'm enjoying myself, I used to work all the time, I'm seeing that, and then maybe thinking she's not doing the right things or doing enough, maybe.
Should I be doing
more?
We'll be getting that. Sometimes I feel like
Yeah, you're right.
I should be working more.
Yep.
Like I feel like I've not worked today, although I've done all the stuff. All my clients are okay. My programs are all done. I've maybe posted on social media. I've done a bit of outreach. I've done all my work, but I feel like, oh, I should be doing more.
Yeah,
I get that. I do.
We can get stuck in this whole kind of grind mentality and all those sorts of things, and I think that you're 100% right, and I was very guilty of falling into that. But what I found is that, and Katie checks me on this all the time, so like I'll come to the door and I'm still on my phone and I'm like texting people and I'm like throwing, I was like, just give me 2 seconds, let me throw this on social media, or give me 2 seconds, I need to respond to this person or that person, and it's like, and even though none of that feels like work to me, it's still like you're still detached from what's going on around you.
Present,
So then, by setting boundaries and barriers, which I'm by no means that good at yet, it's something I'm trying to work on. Like last night, even though I fell asleep, she was like, let's spend more time together. And I was like, fine. 6:30, fucking phone goes in airplane mode. I'm sitting down, I'm lying down. Nah, not that. I'm lying down on the couch and then I'm just like, because I've not got a screen in front of me to keep me awake. So I'm like, she's like, you've got 2 states. You're either looking at your phone or you're asleep. She's like, that's
to be fair,
literally true.
you wake up early, man. You're an early riser.
I do wake up early, but it's not the point. It's still fucking 6:30 at night.
Oh, well,
7:30 Hattie's down, and then I'm sitting there up here.
An old guy.
Honestly, but it's something I'm trying to switch off more, and I actually feel that when I set boundaries, I achieve more because I go, right, here's a definitive start point and end point. Let me get what I need to do done in this window. So fucking spoken about this a million times. It's not new to anyone, the whole Parkinson's law thing.
Yep.
Whereas when those barriers aren't up, it's just like nothing really starts or ends. It just constantly goes. And it's like when you don't really have that start or end point, you can kind of find yourself lost in that space. And when you're in that space and then you come out of it, you then have those feelings of guilt and those feelings of like, oh, maybe I should be having that. Whereas when there's set boundaries of being like, here's work time, here's end time, you don't really feel that bad about it because you know tomorrow you've got, right, well, I've got these windows to kind of operate within again.
I agree. I'm quite happy with that. We're smart guys.
We are smart guys. There was another wee thing that we wanted to hash over, was there not?
Holidays.
Oh yeah, you said this. You mentioned this.
I said this.
You mentioned this.
Basically, like,
because you did fuck all when you were away.
Because I done absolutely hee-haw. Well, I've had 2 sunny holidays this year.
You have. Someone's doing well.
Someone's.
I was in Morocco. Oh, when we were in Sorrento. Oh, in Napoli.
We
We
were the Amalfi
fucking did
Coast.
this.
We were in Marrakesh. It was lovely.
fucking
Rooftop bar.
Pompous prick.
Pompous prick. It was a pompous windbag, and I can't remember where that's from. But anyway, like how to manage holidays and stuff, which I feel is quite relevant because obviously it's summertime, people are going on holiday. One of my clients actually messaged me asking, or no, saying like, oh, when I came back from holiday, I found it really tough to kind of get back into the swing of things and stuff. And I want your guys' thoughts on it and stuff, but it's something that I get a lot of my guys to do in like a good frame, and it's something that no one ever thinks about. They always think about going on holiday, right? So it's always about packing, about what we're going to be doing and all that shit, but you can actually set yourself up for when you get back before you go. Does that make sense? So one of the things that people struggle with is making good food choices.
Right.
Why don't you prep some stuff and freeze it so it's ready for you when you come back? Why don't you buy the shit in? Obviously, if it's going to be longer lasting,
It's dribbled. So.
it's actually going to be set for you for when you get back. Why don't you arrange for a meal prep delivery for the Monday when you get back? So before you actually leave for holiday, you're already scheduling and putting these things in place just to be ready.
That's pretty cool. I've never done that or thought about doing that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's a good bit of gold right there. But you will get the all common objections like, oh, well, I don't have time to prep a bunch of food because I'm blah blah blah. But then you also get the same person that will moan about that as the exact same person that will moan because they've not got the result that they want. So it's kind of like choose your battles and choose your hard kind of thing. But it's something I've never really thought of is about the whole coming back from holiday thing. like to come back and get into training, because I often find sometimes it's like when you come back your holiday, you need a holiday from the holiday.
Most of the time.
I didn't from Marrakesh, but I feel like I did from Italy.
What's the difference?
In Marrakesh, it was more chilled, and I was training. So I was training on holiday. We were walking everywhere. Like, I was kind of prioritising my health a little bit more. In Italy, it was pizza pasta, and then we were Peronis, and it was out all day, and we were knackered. And so there's two types of holiday, and I wish that I had the facility to train while I was in Naples and Sorrento and stuff. We just didn't have any gyms or anything. I probably could have found one, but it wasn't that type of holiday.
Yeah.
But going forward, I think I would change that for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, most of my holidays that I've ever been on is the actual only time, unless I'm sick, is that I actually take an active step back from training. And it's like, if people doing think about it, how many weeks are you away out the year that you go on holiday? Say 4. If you're lucky enough to get 4 weeks abroad a year, right? Which a lot of people like people get 31 days annual leave and stuff like that. Like, say 4 of those weeks you're abroad, you're doing quite well for yourself. 4 weeks out of 52 off the gym isn't that much. So if you're working hard the 48 weeks, the 4 you have off isn't really that big a deal.
No.
So like, do you need to train when you're on holiday?
So I think
Probably not. If you want to train on holiday, crack on.
yeah.
Go to the wee hotel gym, jump, do some bicep curls, do some abs, do some run on the treadmill, go run along the beach, go jump into a CrossFit gym if you want to on holiday. But I find myself more often than not doing none of those things. I'll maybe drop into a CrossFit box once. I did it twice on a 2.5 week holiday.
In France.
The last time in France, one of them actually patched me. That was an old story. So I missed a training session. But I'm like, I'm alright. So like, see if you just work hard enough the rest of the time, you should take some time off on holiday.
I think this year is people don't.
Yeah,
That's
so then they think that when they're on holiday, they should fucking do it.
Aye. But a few things, man. So I think it depends on the person. A lot of people go away and they struggle with the lack of consistency in the routine because it's holiday and if they've not been training all the rest of it. So then they people really struggle to get back into it when they come back and it's 2 weeks before they've no training. How many people have you heard, I went on holiday and I've just not get back into it? Maybe yes, maybe you, Judd, but probably you definitely.
Hunters,
Right? Hundreds of times. And I'm like, well, they type of people should definitely train on holiday. Do not care. They should train on holiday and that is it. Like, food. Like, I'm not gonna. You don't need to clean fucking eat. Big quotation marks on about that there when you're on holiday, because obviously you're way other people, all the rest of it. I get it. But train, if you're that worried and you're usually the person that can't get back into it, have an active holiday. But
Feels
you've got
amazing.
more time. It feels fucking great. You've got no work. Brilliant. Be lucky that you can train. Just enjoy it. Get out, walk more. Don't be a lazy bastard and fucking sit about and then take the toot all the time. Walk a wee bit. Like, I don't know what you ever fucking wherever you go. That's my views on it.
No, I agree with you, and I think it's like the mindset flip with that as well is that see people that would maybe struggle with that is that they're maybe training to like lose weight or whatever, right? Whereas what you should be doing is you should be training for a state. You should be training for
Homeostasis.
Training.
Homeostasis. Is that when you're in Morocco? For hummus?
Bread. Hummus.
Homeostasis.
Training for a feeling.
Yeah.
To feel good.
Aye.
And this is that goes back to that full point. People do. So maybe they relate it just to weight loss training. That's it.
There's that negative.
Well, I want to go on holiday. I just want to get away from that.
I think that with the holiday training thing, yeah, I think with the holiday training vibe and situation is that the decisions and the behaviours that you make in holiday aren't always all that different to what you do here, if that makes sense. So like if you're absolutely fucking it on your holiday with your missus, it's like you probably do the exact same when you're at home anyway. So like a lot of the behaviours just kind of go back. If you go on holiday, you want to chill. You go on holiday, you want to train. People overthink it way too much, and I think that it's just, as long as you're kind of constantly, like you said, training for that state or training for the sake of training's sake rather than training because you want to like lose weight, you're going to have those feelings of anxiety because you're worrying about like you were saying, the stuff that's happening in the future rather than just relaxing. Fucking holiday, for fuck's sake. You need to go back to your miserable job, remember? Just fucking chill out, enjoy it, eat the ice cream, chill out. I actually feel and look better when I'm on holiday. I know we're trying to wrap up the podcast here, but I've got thoughts going through my head. I actually feel better and look better when I'm on holiday because I walk more.
For fuck ton.
Right? I walk more, I drink more water.
Probably eat less.
And I actually eat less. And what I do eat is just mostly carbs. So then I'm like looking in the mirror and I'm like, I actually look better than when I train all the time. Obviously that wears off after like multiple days of just bread.
Then
it starts packing on a wee bit. But then I'm like, there's a few days I'm like, I look good. And then it goes.
Is that where you get all the pictures in?
Aye.
Yeah, after that.
So that's when I'm like, that's when we're going to go for the budgies. So the budgies go on. Okay, get the pictures in. Anyway, that was episode number 46 of the No Rep podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed that. If you took anything from that whatsoever, whether that be slugs in your pint, whether that be, I can't even remember what else we spoke about. If you gained any sort of form of value, share it with your friends, share it on socials. You need to pay the fee, pay the man, Evan.
Pay the man.
Pay the man. Don't be a hoe.
Share the show.
Share the show. Peace.